Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, hello. I figure we might as well get started. Good afternoon. So nice to be here. My name is Ashleigh Guerra. I am the founder and CEO of BIRDHAUS Brand Studio. I'm also a brand architect, and what that is essentially is someone who has expertise in digital marketing and brand strategy. When you blend that together with knowledge around creative direction, pair those things together with being able to ball on a budget, that's what I do. I'm a brand builder, essentially, and I have worked in the golf industry before starting my agency for 15 years. And some of the brands that I've worked on may be familiar to you, and I'll share a little bit about that. But I am excited to be here because golf is a sport that I am incredibly passionate about, and brand love to talk about that. So we're going to talk about a few things here that are going to be critical for you all, especially entering 2026. And let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be talking about brand architecture, and my goal here today is to make each and every one of you also brand architects. And what that means is being able to get really clear and really strategic with how you communicate your value to your core customers. A couple of examples of brands that I've built over the years within the golf industry that kind of showcase the power of brand architecture. Starting with LPGA, USGA, Girls Golf. Worked with the LPGA Foundation in 2016 and rebranded that organization. Many of you may be familiar with them. They are now the fastest growing demographic, one of the fastest growing demographics in golf today. Also grew what is called the LPGA Women's Network to a community of about 50,000 women who are learning about the game through content, through storytelling in about 3 years by building a brand from the ground up. Hashtag Invite Her was an industry-wide campaign focused on bringing more women to the game of golf. Generated about 20 million impressions, I think back in 2018. Again, strategic, very low budget, but we made a really huge impression. And last but certainly not least, I served as a VP of Marketing Communications for Youth on Course. Hopefully all of you are engaged somehow with Youth on Course to help get more kids affordable access to the game of golf. Worked in that role in 2020 to 2023, rebranded that organization, and they have grown, I think, double during that time in membership, and then have continued to skyrocket from there. The common thread, beyond obviously my love for growing the game and bringing more underrepresented groups to this sport, is that all of these groups were grown through brand architecture. And again, what that is all about clarity in who you are and how you connect with your audience, and ensuring that you are showing up consistently across all of your communication channels. That's going to be my goal here today, is to share with you how you can do that at your facility. And why that's important for golf course operators. Obviously, you all are the folks on the ground level who are growing the game. So the women, the young people, the girls who are interested in the game of golf, those who are returning to the game of golf since COVID, you all are the welcome mat for getting them into the sport and keeping them in the game as well. And so empowering you all with the tools that you need to keep those doors open and increase the amount of people that you can serve is a personal goal of mine, but also I understand the struggle that you all have as operators, right? You are in the service business. You have to maintain an incredible product. You have to put out fires on the daily, right? Let's be real. And then you've got to figure out how to market yourself on top of all of that. And by the way, we've got now a whole new demographic of golfers who are entering this space too, right? So we know that golf has been booming since COVID. We've plateaued a little bit, but the game now is how do we keep them? How do we sustain that new demand for what it is that we do? And so there's frameworks that we can use to incorporate that. For those of you who were in the room during the previous session, there was lots of questions around AI, social media, marketing, like what channels do I use, who do I talk to, how often do I talk to my audience about each one of these pillars of our business. By having brand architecture in place, it's going to make making those decisions a lot more clear. okay? So we're gonna go through a couple of exercises. I'll talk to you about the value as well of ensuring that you have clarity on the front end. Of course, we're gonna talk about AI, that is all the buzz right now, but know that we're gonna spend the majority of our time on that clarity piece, because you can't get into AI and start using ChatGPT and all of the incredible tools without, of course, sounding like everybody else, unless you are really clear about who you are first, okay? All right, so there are really two buckets that golf courses often fall within. And within my agency, we work with companies in and outside of golf, but within the past 9 months, we have gotten a ton of golf course properties and owners who have reached out to us looking for help getting out of this bucket right here. The invisible majority, okay? Raise your hand or just nod if you don't want to like put yourself on blast like that, if you feel like you fall into this first category. You're pretty good at everything. You're kind of decent at everything when it comes to how you show up and market yourself. You tend to do marketing as sort of random posts when somebody from your team remembers to talk about that. Raise your hand if that's you. Your website kind of looks very similar to all of the other golf courses who may be 20 minutes driving distance from you. And when it comes to what you're competing on, primarily, it's price, availability, or location. Raise your hand if that sounds familiar and you're like ready to get out of that rut. Okay, we want to become revenue multipliers, which means we want to be crystal clear on what makes us worth choosing over the other golf course that I could book a tee time at that's 15 minutes away. We want, ideally, strategic and low maintenance marketing systems. So we're going to build some of that out today. And we also want to attract ideal customers at premium prices. And of course, as those customers come through our doors, we want them to remain loyal, we want them rebooking with us, we want them bringing their friends, we want them booking events, etc. One of these options has a negative marketing ROI, obviously. The other, we're 5xing to 10xing our revenue. If you get nothing else out of today, I want you to know this. Marketing does work, okay? So for anybody who has felt exhausted or confused about trying to chase an algorithm or figure out what to do and post on social media, know that marketing is a revenue driver. It is a revenue generator. That is the sole function of marketing. If your marketing is not driving dollars to your bottom line, that means that something is amiss. That's really it. And we just have to figure out what it is, what that is. If your marketing is not making you money, it is likely because of one of these three things. Again, show of hands or subtle nod if one of these kind of speaks to you. One, you're not truly invested. You don't necessarily see the return, you're confused, you don't want to, you don't have the time, you don't know who to hire, you're not truly invested in actually marketing your business. You could fall into that category very easily. You are making a marketing investment, but you're spending time on tactics that you don't find to be working, whether it is promoting membership, tee time package, range pass. You're promoting it, you're putting it out there, people are not biting. Or you could simply not be measuring or not be measuring the right things. There are a couple of categories that are critical to knowing, hey, who's seeing this, who is actually buying, what is the lifetime value of our consumer, and you're not necessarily sure what any of your tactics are actually doing to generate ROI. So this is where having clarity, and I'm going to show you how, and showing up consistently is really important. Specifically speaking, in terms of ensuring that you are differentiating yourself from your competitors. You could think of yourself as a restaurant, think of yourself as a coffee shop. I work from home, and so oftentimes when I want to get out and have a change of scenery, there's 5 or 6 spots that I can go to. I have a few favorites for several reasons, but they each have a vibe, they have an energy, they have something that I'm looking for that keeps me showing up and spending my money with them versus somewhere else. And that's what we're going to really hone in on today, is what is your secret sauce? What are the elements for you that keep your customers coming back? And how do you continue sharing that so that that is not just you who believes in that magic, but they're talking about what you know is great about what you do too. All right, so here's what we're going to be focused on today. A framework for identifying exactly what makes you different. We all do incredible work. We've got beautiful golf courses. We have an amazing restaurant. We've got incredible teaching staffs. But there's something underneath all of that that is your secret sauce. And we're going to pull that out today. We're going to give you actionable strategies that you can implement as early as next week. So leave the show, leave this event, get back home next week. Take what you gather here and put it into action. I can guarantee you're going to see some results. We'll go through some tools and workflows that are going to help you cut content creation time by 90%. Where are our marketing leads? If you're in the room, raise your hand. Love it. We're going to be friends after this, okay? And also, if you're not the marketing person, this is incredibly important for you to know too, so you know who to hire, so you know what direction to provide for them, so you know when you're checking in, what questions to be asking to know that the marketing is working. And then we're going to talk a little bit about ROI calculation, so how to know what you're spending is working, what you should be setting as a target, et cetera. All right, so we're going to start with what I like to call the clarity gap exercise. And for me as a marketer, generally speaking, depending on the type of client, I tend to set a baseline of what I want my work to generate for a client. So if you're going to invest in marketing your business and promoting your business and strengthening your brand, I've got a number in my mind that I want to help make you at the end of this investment. So this is a way that you can be thinking about it too. Okay, so for you all, this is your clarity gap. I want you to take, you can write it down, you can take a picture, do this math later, your number of rounds per year, multiply that by 10%, and then multiply that by your average transaction value. So when somebody shows up through your doors, what are they on average spending on the round of golf, maybe merchandise, maybe a soda at the turn, maybe lunch afterwards. Figure out what that number is, and then I want you to do the math. And I've got an example here for you. Oh, excuse me, let me back up. Let me explain why it's 10%, okay? A couple of stats to share with you. Again, these are things that I love to hang on to for myself as a marketer, particularly somebody who is really bullish about brand, okay? Courses with strong brand identity command 15 to 20% more in premium pricing and higher customer retention. When I say brand, I do not mean a logo, okay? I do not mean a website. I mean your personality, what you are known for, the perception that your consumers have about you, and your perspective on the world. That's your brand, that's what you're known for. If you have a strong, recognizable brand that people love, you will make more money, okay? Customers who perceive clear differentiation, we're gonna talk about what that means, are 86% more likely to choose your brand. So if you are showing up different, I'll use the coffee shop example again. If you're showing up different than every other golf course in your instance around the block, people are going to notice and people will choose you, especially if the things that you're different about align with what they're looking for. And last, in the loyalty categories, again, so I've kind of portioned this out into a consideration stat, conversion stat, and a loyalty stat. Most avid golfers play 18 to 20 rounds per year at 3 to 4 different courses. If you can even just get one more of their rounds, that's an increase in revenue for you, okay? A clearer positioning will help you get there. Okay, now here's an example of the clarity gap revenue loss, okay? So those numbers that I shared with you, the 15 to 20%, the 86%, 10 is on the low side. This is a conservative number, okay? If average golf course is generating between 30 to 50,000 rounds, multiply that by 10%, which is what they might be missing. That's essentially people who may be searching for somewhere to play, see you, scroll right over you, okay? Consider that your 10%. That's around 3,000 to 5,000 rounds times $60 per round. That is what in annual revenue is not being captured because you don't have a distinct enough brand, something that's pulling people's attention. Now, when it comes to marketing, if you ask me, would you be willing to invest $5,000 to capture at least a portion of that? I think most people would say yes. Yeah, fixing the invisible leak. What if you could recapture even half of that lost revenue without adding staff and additional expense, campaigns, right? This is really just adding to what is already available at your course. You're not adding more tee times, you're not adding more staff. It's just filling what's already there. Okay, so let's think about this in terms of a golfer's search behavior. You're all probably very familiar with this, but from a marketing lens point of view, think about these interactions as opportunities for you to be found and for somebody to make a decision about you. Okay, so oftentimes somebody may hear about your course, they may be looking for a tee time. They're going to go either on a tee time aggregator or maybe to your website directly sometimes, or searching on Google. That's their first point of interaction with you. They're going to probably open up a couple of tabs or profiles and start poking around to see what's out there, and learn a little bit more about the landscape there. They're going to spend between 30 to 60 seconds evaluating each one. They're checking for vibes, essentially, okay? And then they're going to make a decision. And they're going to play your course, and then hopefully we want them coming back. But there's something that has to happen in between there that will make them remember you, right? So what is that? How do we stay connected with you? How do we continue showing up, whether it's in your news feed, in your inbox, et cetera, okay? Looping you back around to make another tee time. Okay, so we're going to get into now some of the brand clarity framework, which is what's going to ensure that you are showing up in each one of those touch points in a way that's going to make somebody actually make a decision about purchasing from you. Okay, so we're going to start with identifying your primary differentiators. This is a great exercise to do with your team, so that there's buy-in across the board on what makes you unique, what your unique bit of magic is, okay? So I want you to start by thinking about your primary differentiators, okay? So this is what people talk about you, or when you talk about your course to people who are thinking about finding a place to play, these are the first 2 or 3 things that you mention or they mention. Or, if you're unsure of that, you can check out your reviews online. What tends to be the most common themes, bits of the experience that people enjoy? Is it that you have great greens? Do you have an incredible teaching academy? Is your restaurant the bomb, right, and has the best burgers in town? Those are the things that you want to be talking about most regularly when you're showing up across all of those digital touch points. And I'll show you a little bit about what that looks like. These primary differentiators must be true, okay? So they can't be aspirational. If you're going to be promoting yourself as this, whether it's championship golf course or the best place for a weekend round, you have to actually you have to be that, right? You're then going to create supporting strengths. Okay, so these are things that enhance your primary differentiators. Somebody in the workshop previous to this was asking a question about all of the sub-businesses that are within their golf course, okay? They've got, great pro shop, they've got a restaurant, they've got a great junior league, they've got all of these things that they can be talking about, okay? We wanna be focused on the first 2 or 3. So if it's, hey, we've got, the best leagues in Central Florida, that's our primary differentiator. And then our supporting strengths may be, we also have a great academy, right? If you want to get good enough to play in the league, we're going to weave that messaging into our marketing along the way. Table stakes are really the things that are the basics, right? Book online, clean restrooms. We don't need to talk about that in our marketing. That shouldn't be our number one, right? Everybody should have and offer those things. But when it comes to your magic, the thing that you do uniquely well that's different from all of your competitors, this is what needs to be the primary pillar of information that is showing up across your marketing. I'll pause here because I'm curious if there's something that comes to anybody's mind about your unique 2 or 3 things. I'm just curious what y'all are thinking about right now. Anyone want to share? Bourbon and tequila. Amazing. What makes your bourbon and tequila so great? Do you advertise that? Okay, I love it. Would you consider that a primary differentiator, a supporting differentiator, or supporting strength?
I would say supporting.
Love that. Okay, I'm like already visualizing themed events, parties, visits from experts, etc. Love that. Okay, anybody else?
I'll throw one out.
Yeah.
You can bring your pet and play golf with your pet.
Okay, I love that. Is that on your website?
There's pictures on our website.
Okay, not expressly said, but it's a differentiator.
Well, the customer can look at the picture and form their own.
Absolutely.
Their dog
Absolutely. Okay, maybe something you want to advertise strongly, maybe not. Anyone else?
Everybody always talks about our views.
Your views.
We're high desert.
Fantastic.
We get masons around and it's incredible.
Okay, love that. Do you feel like you're strongly communicating that or showcasing that at the moment?
Yeah, but I think we can do better.
Fabulous. Okay.
12-hole course, we actually played 3, 9, 12, or 18.
Fabulous. And no one else in your region is doing that? Fantastic. Okay. Love this. I'm excited. Yes.
We have honeybees on our courses, so we have a beekeeper and we sell the honey on the course.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys. I need everybody's contact information after this. I need to know where you are based. I'm gonna put a little pin map and visit all of you. That's so cool. I love it. Okay, and you guys have set me up perfectly for what we're gonna be doing here. Okay. All right, so great. So we've got our magic. We know what separates us, what makes us different. We also have to think about who our core audiences are. Okay, I've separated this into 3. We have loyalists. Those are our die-hard golf audience, right? These are the people who are in the game. They are in it for life. They are staying. This has been golf's traditional core audience for a very long time. Okay, we have our social golfers. That's me. I grew up playing golf. I play golf often, but I'm not a diehard. I want the bourbon. I want the bees. You know, that's why I'm showing up. Okay, so this is where golf is a social activity. So the motivations for this type of golfer are going to be different than our loyalists. Our loyalists are going to care more about who designed the course, what's the challenge, what are the conditions. Our social golfer wants to know they're going to have a good time. It's a welcoming environment. The motivations for each are different. Then we have our aspirational golfers. That's over the past 4 or 5 years. We've seen a surge in those golfers who are dabbling, essentially. They are motivated, but they have not yet built the habit of becoming a golfer. Huge opportunity here, but we also have to figure out how to cultivate these groups without ostracizing the other, okay? All right, this is a great slide to take a picture of. This list is by no means comprehensive, but again, another great exercise to do with your team when it comes to identifying what your primary and supporting strengths are and what's going to be most relevant or the biggest interest to each of these various groups, right? So again, I mentioned a little earlier, right, our core golfers, our loyalists, again, course quality and condition, challenge and strategy, pace of play. These are the things that matter most to this group. For our social golfers, yep, that's me, that's welcoming. How's the restaurant? You know, social amenities, group event hosting, convenient booking, Instagram-worthy vibe, okay? Our new and emerging golfers want to know that they're gonna show up and not be intimidated. They're gonna show up somewhere we're gonna show up and someone's going to guide their journey and make them feel welcome, okay? Low intimidation, beginner friendly, accessible pricing. Some other things to kind of pay attention to here at the bottom, especially if you took a photo, deal makers and deal breakers, okay? So again, when it comes to staying true to what you actually do, we wanna be in this quadrant, and then down below, we wanna avoid that. Okay. When it comes to how we talk about what we do too, specificity is really important, okay? Especially when people are looking for a vibe. Again, those who are scrolling by need to know that you do more than your competitors. So you may have championship course conditions, but I mean, I'm a social golfer. I don't care about that. I'm not playing a championship. I just want to get 9 holes in before dinner and get home before the traffic. You can shift your language that initiates to someone who is interested in championship conditions to show your dedication to what that actually means, okay? So we're going from generic, this is what every golf course in your region is talking about. We're speaking to those loyal diehards. We do more than championship level conditions. We hand mow our greens every day. We have more than challenging strategic layout. We have risk-reward design, okay? So this is taking the marketing language, the positioning that you're using across your website, across your Google business page, your Golf Now description, to another level that's making this an emotional decision for me now. You're not just telling me what you do, you're helping me know what to expect. And I'm excited about these things in blue. These are okay, but yeah, I wanna go somewhere that has TrackMan equipped bays, okay? All right, so helpful question to ask yourself: are we clearly and consistently communicating those strengths across all of those digital touch points? Like I mentioned, that pipeline of opportunities for you to be found, whether it's your GolfNow business profile, your website, your social channels, your email newsletter. How resounding are those primary differentiators across those elements, okay? Where in your pipeline of opportunities are you missing the mark? Getting found. I'll just touch on this real briefly. I kind of mentioned this already. I will mention from a social media perspective, someone asked earlier, how often or how do you know the ROI of, potentially hiring a social media person full-time, somebody to join your team and do social media full-time. That's not an investment that you have to make, depending, of course, on where you are. What's important is that as somebody is scrolling, they can see that you're active and they can get a good idea of what it is that you do well, okay? So you don't need somebody showing up online on social media every single day for that to be a worthy marketing dollar investment. You need your social media to be doing the job of reiterating those differentiators for you and showing up consistently, okay? All right, so we're gonna do a little show and tell. Whenever I do a presentation, I like examples and I like to use, I'm a creative, I like to use my imagination. And so dream with me a little bit because I wanna show you really exactly what I'm talking about in action now. So shifting from your kind of standard, static, run-of-the-mill, undifferentiated golf course to one that has truly identified and clarified its brand and how it's showing up. Okay, so this is Ashfield Greens. This is my golf course. This is my make-believe golf course. Fun fact, my name, Ashleigh, means field of ash trees. Very interesting, okay? My sister is of the court, she's Courtney. My brother is Justin, Justice. I'm a field of ash trees, okay? So at the very least, it's like, I'm gonna name my golf course after myself. So this is Ashfield Greens. I took myself through this exercise in my own fictitious golf course and identified what my differentiators are, what's important to me and my consumers. I'm gonna have a championship level golf course. But the other thing that we're gonna do really well is we're gonna have brag-worthy events, okay? We are gonna be the golf course that is gonna knock it out of the park. If you have a corporate outing, if you have a bat mitzvah, if you have a wedding, we're gonna be your go-to choice if you want to do it at a golf course, okay? Our people are social golfers and loyalists, and we also wanna position ourselves to attract that new wave of golfers as a kind of third tier. Now, I have prioritized this strategically. You'll see how this is going to show up in my visuals and my messaging, etc. Starting with this. And hopefully you guys can see what's in the background here, but I'll start with our narrative, our perspective as a golf course. Ashfield Greens Golf Club, the course serious golfers respect, and the venue every host dreams about. That is a lens that now my facility is using to make decisions about what we talk about online, about how we're showing up in our business profiles, about how we're hiring too. So for me, this is Bible, right? We want to be a course that literally does this, that serious golfers really want to come and play at, but also folks who are hosting events that they want to remember choose us. And so I have to hire teams that believe in this and deliver that at a high level. I have to maintain my course at a high level as well. I have to showcase this. So if you can see, hopefully, the visuals here are more than just like stock photos. This is emotion, this is evocative, this is telling a story more than a paragraph could about what the vibe is here at our facility. And this is gonna show up just in terms of a mood board. These types of illustrations are gonna show up across our digital channels that make it easier for people to get who we are and what we do really well. Okay, now we're gonna build a marketing machine around that. Starting with looking at that pipeline, okay? So as I think about Golf Now, Tee Off, my Google business page, as I'm evaluating that now, I know that I need to feature more than just empty fairways in those reviews. I need to showcase smiling people. I need to showcase on my Google Business and Yelp reviews those events and be consistently posting content there so that folks who are looking for venues can see me because I'm optimizing for search on what my bit of magic is. Clear positioning and language across my website and my Google Business page. Again, using language specific to the types of events that you can host there, and ensuring that my website, and I'll talk a little bit about how to do that, is also optimized for AI search in addition to Google. And then across my website, I want to make sure that my marketing copy matches what you just saw on that previous page. That type of language, that type of tone, that voice is carried across every page on my website. Getting chosen. All right, so this is actually a golf course that is right around the corner from where I live. I just chose it because I knew they had a tree in their brands. I was like, okay, I'll just compare this. We'll pretend that this is the before. All right. If I'm looking for a venue to host an event, a tournament, or go play, who do you think I'm going to choose? That's probably a silly question, right? This is telling me right away, that's a beautiful golf course. Oh my gosh, that restaurant looks beautiful. Okay, celebrations, that's something that they do really well. I want to start exploring photos from previous events that they've hosted. This is telling me the level of service, the level of experience, the attention to detail that this course has in a way that this course is not. I have to do a lot more searching. I have to do a lot more calling to figure out if they can, accommodate me, or the course is in a condition that's going to meet my standards, right? This is doing so much more selling for me than this is. And that's really important, again, as we think about capturing people in that consideration phase, the way that we show up is critical to that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how to do some of that with AI. You don't have to be a copywriter now to be able to create language that is evocative, that gets people excited, and to show up using those messages that are going to gather people's attention and get them to convert. I want to share a couple kind of tips and tricks with you, particularly as it relates to AI. By show of hands, who's actively using AI right now within your business, your marketing, et cetera? Awesome. Any favorite tools or go-tos that you're using? I heard ChatGPT a lot in the previous session. Anybody want to call out to something else that you're using or have questions about, and I'll make sure to touch on it? ChatGPT is one. Any others? Gemini, okay. Pilot, okay.
Just start with Claude as well.
Love Claude, okay. Awesome, okay. All right, so let's start with Claude. Claude is my favorite. Claude is my man, all right? Claude, me and Claude, we go together, we are friends, we talk every day. I don't want to marry it like the lady in the previous session, but we're like this, okay? For those of you who are using Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Copilot to write for you, marketing, copy specifically, but really this could work for anything. It is a game changer to train your AI on your business and on your brand, okay? If you're not already doing that, I highly recommend it. The thing about AI is obviously an incredibly powerful tool, but when it comes to marketing especially, and many things, it is aggregating and then going in the middle, right? It's giving you the information in the middle. So if you're using it to write your social media captions or write, information for your flyers, it's gonna be fast and it's generally gonna be good, but it gets better when you train it on your company, your audience, your services, your brand personas, your voice, the way that you speak as a business. That is really important for differentiating yourself as well. So training your AI on you so that it sounds like you and not like everybody else. I know we're probably all now aware of who is using AI because we see M-dash, 45 emojis, right? There's certain sentence structures as well that's very common in AI language. The more that people put that out there, the more obvious it's going to become to all of us as we read it. But if you're using that kind of language within your business, it's also diluting your brand and eroding your trust. So super important to train your AI. I'm going to show you real quick how to do that. The other thing, if you're not already doing this, especially as operators, there's so much stuff going on constantly. Batch creating content. This is an exercise that we do with a lot of our clients. We will understand what their communications calendar looks like for the next 30, 60, 90 days. We identify what core events are happening, what the communication sort of channels and campaigns should look like leading into that. Then we sit down, we batch create content for each one of those bits of each one of those events. So if they've got a championship that's coming up or promotion at a restaurant, we're sitting down on a single day, we're creating content for each of those things, we are scheduling it out, we are setting it, and I don't say forgetting it, but a lot of that work that takes a lot of time for especially our marketing managers here becomes so much easier if you do it in one setting, and then you're monitoring and then filling in gaps in between as more fresh stuff happens on the ground. So highly recommend doing that. Highly recommend training your AI. I'll show you how to do that. And then, this is another big one. Requiring your AI, especially if you're using it to generate marketing copy for social media or email, to ensure that every piece of content is tied to a business goal. You don't need to be generating content that's just fluff, okay? That you don't know, it's beautiful day, let's throw a sunset up, you know what I mean? Let's ensure that every piece of content that's going up on your channel is tied to generating awareness, right? So getting considered, a conversion, so selling something, or building brand loyalty through the filters especially that we want people to know about us. So I'm going to show you first, I want to show you what it looks like to train your AI. And hopefully, so this is what's called a knowledge file. Okay, again, this is a made-up golf course, but the content that you'll see here is very similar. So we train content studios for a number of our clients. And so we get in the nitty-gritty of understanding their business, their goals, their audiences, et cetera. And we generate a giant knowledge file that's used to train their AI so that anytime their CEO wants to write a letter or their marketing intern wants to write a caption, they're using the same AI studio that's going to ensure that it's on brand and it's going to resonate with their audience. A couple of key bits of information that are in here. It's got our brand positioning statement, our priority pyramid that we talked about, right? So for us, we're a championship caliber golf course. We do brag-worthy events, right? Here's everything it needs to know, down to the square footage of our event space, the types of events we excel at, right? How to prioritize that. It's got all of that in this. Let's see how many pages. I think this is like 18-page document. This is the marketing brain, okay? All in one document. And as things change, let's say we have a new promotion, or we change the name of a restaurant, we can go into this document, update it, upload it into AI, and now it's live and fresh for everybody on our team. So that is our AI knowledge file. I highly recommend going through that exercise for your own facility, so you've got it and you're not sounding like everybody else. And you have something that you can rely on in terms of accuracy. I don't know, especially Claude users, Claude is a platform that tends to hallucinate quite often, so it may make stuff up, about your facility that's not even true, right? If you've trained it on your business, it's not searching the internet for other stuff to fill in the gaps. All right, I'm going to show you also an exercise here. Let me blow this up a little bit first. For a prompt. So this is a content planning prompt that can be used for generating captions, strategizing, doing the newsletter, etc. For a week. Then in this instance, just to keep it quick, I did this for a week. I've asked within this prompt to generate 3 posts focused on awareness, showing off our differentiators, okay? Again, for us, it's a championship course. It's the amazing venue for events. 2 posts for conversions and 2 posts for loyalty. Each post, we want to ensure that it's focused on one of these goals, our core audiences. I've got some parameters for the caption length. Generally in these, I say no more than 2 emojis, etc. And I'm going to show you what that looks like being generated in Claude. Hopefully that's large enough to see. Okay, so it's going to think for a little bit. But here you go. Here's my 7-day content plan. It's given me recommendations for a caption, for the visuals. Here, let me zoom in a little bit. It's a little small. Each day of the week, along with a goal. Okay? The goal here for this post is to build loyalty amongst our social and core golfers. The platform we're focusing on is Facebook. Okay? So there you go. For anybody who has been responsible for marketing, social media, trying to figure out what to write on a Tuesday, this makes it so much easier. This cuts your content creation time down by 80 to 90% at least. And then it allows you as the human to focus on the creative side, okay? Now, I don't recommend just copying and pasting anything that Claude generates. Let me just be very clear about this. It's still AI. You still need to edit this so it's not as perfect and pristine, right? We are humans talking to humans, not robots talking to humans. But at the very least, this is giving me a week's worth of content that I know it's aligned with my goals. If I want to assign this to a more junior member of my team to help execute with, where they can spend more time focused on editing together reels, taking high quality photography, etc. Now at least the meat of the work is done, and I can trust it because it's been trained on my business and my brand. Okay? Any questions about that before I push on? Yes?
When you created that brand overview, where did you put it? Did you just?
Oh, yeah. Great question. So in Claude, I think you'll be able to see it here. So in Claude, so there's what's called projects. So in this little side view, this is called a project. And if you, that's really small. Let me zoom in a little bit. So on the side here, there's a memory section, there's instructions, and there's files. So memory is basically just where all your saved chats are going to be with Claude. Instructions are going to be instructions tailored to what you want this custom studio to do. So again, for me, if I had spent the time to do this, I would have said, don't use this type of sentence structure. Again, the commonly used AI sentence structure, no more than 2 emojis per caption. Ensure the website is always included when we're talking about booking around or something like that. So I would include instructions that I want it to remember every time here. Then my knowledge file, and then any other support file. So right now this only has my knowledge file, but generally we will add or create or add brand personas. We'll include competitor data here as well. So all of the information that you want Claude to source or reference when it's generating content, you add it here, and it just lives there. So forever. You can add more to it, you can modify the documents that are in here, but those are the reference pieces, those are the instructions, and then that's you'll get, obviously, the opportunity to see everything else that's been generated, especially if you're sharing it across a team. Hopefully that answers your question. Yes? Yes. It's like 20 bucks a month. Let me tell you what, best investment you can make, okay? If you saw how quickly that thing generated a week's worth of content, you can either sit in front of a blank piece of paper and try to do that yourself, or you can work with a thought partner and get it done more quickly. So I highly recommend using the paid version, maybe $30 a month, I think, with Claude, but Claude is a much better writer So it writes in a way that doesn't sound like AI the way ChatGPT does. So this is the tool that I recommend and we use across our team most often. For writing, for writing specifically, Claude is better. Now ChatGPT, I have ChatGPT, I use it to like do meeting minutes, help me evaluate something that I'm thinking about. Tasks, more regularly I'll use ChatGPT for that. But if I'm doing marketing specific stuff, Claude is my go-to just because it thinks more like a marketer.
Your brand overview was impressively thorough and also long.
Mhm.
How do you come that purpose?
So for this example, I just told ChatGPT or Claude so I had been talking to Claude already about Ashfield Green. So we had a little brainstorming session around what it could be, and so two things in terms of how to use Claude, especially for something like that. So yes, it is really thorough. I asked it to just make up that stuff, right? So I said, go. There's no parameters, just based on us being a championship qual. Based on our conversations, what I'm looking for. Fill out our standard knowledge file. Generally, when we do knowledge files for our client or train GPTs, we do it through conversation. So we may ask, hey, give us all of your marketing collateral that you use for your tournaments, for your clinics, for your academy, etc. Give it all to us. We're going to get on a call. We're going to talk to you. So that's the other thing. So conversation, the language that you use to talk about your facility and what makes you great is much different than typing it out. It's much different than even speaking it into a machine, right? It just, the flow and the nuance and the tone and cadence is very different. So we do a lot of that building out with information gathering, competitor research of our own, conversation with staff, with the staff and team, and then we aggregate it. We'll have AI help us polish it up, but a lot of that is just kind of research that we do. But that's not to say that you can't do it on your own too. You can literally do the back and forth with some of these tools, feed it as much as you can, see what it shoots out for you. It doesn't have to be super long, but keep refining as you go as well. Yeah.
I just wondered, how does it compare to Copilot for writing?
I am not a Microsoft user, so I don't have, unfortunately, a lot of experience with Copilot. I'm a Google Workspace user. So unfortunately, I don't know if anybody else here who has compared the two has any feedback that you can share with her on that, but unfortunately I don't. I will say I'm very happy with the tools that I use. So my tech stack is Claude, ChatGPT. I use Perplexity as well, particularly for business planning, deep research, SEO audits as well. But I'm less familiar with Copilot. Yes.
I was going to say, I use AI and I'll ask whichever like chat or whatever I'm in, tell me if there's ever one.
Yes.
Use it and it actually does.
Yes.
Say, this is the better tool.
Yes, especially for what you're using it for. It differs, right? So there's a variation of Claude, I think it's like 4.5, which is actually better at writing than the 4.0, you know what I mean? So knowing some of those nuances definitely helps as well. Always divert to this version. I'll share the other thing, especially if you're like me, like kind of nerding out about AI, the other thing that we, that's weird. The other thing that we have started building out are AI agents. Is anyone familiar with AI agents or heard that term? Yeah. So that is where essentially you have a autonomous tool that is now able to deliver work or take on tasks without you having to prompt it. Okay, so for us, what that looks like is, so I have a women's golf initiative called Out of Office Orlando, which is for professional women who want to know how to learn how to play golf and how to use it as a tool to network. We do a monthly newsletter where we provide golf tips, but we also round up all of the local professional networking events that we think that they should check out and participate in. I have an AI tool now that will generate on the first of every month It'll write my newsletter for me, it'll round up the events and the dates, it'll drop in the links, it'll provide me with images. I don't have to do anything. I've just set it up, it knows when to do it, it knows who to emails myself and our co-founder, we know to expect it, it runs on our own. So it takes I don't even have to think about it, I just know that it's happening, and then I can refine what it sends to me from there. So there's these sort of new tools, there's these ways that you can ratchet it up to save yourself time and build out some systems that make your marketing workflow a lot easier. Any other questions? My little input has come apart. Maybe it's because my computer fell asleep. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead, because I think we're getting close to time. Okay. And I'll recap. All right, so a couple things that we covered is the reality of revenue that we can be losing if we are not clear about our positioning within the marketplace, okay, up against our competitors. You've seen a visual example of what a kind of pretty basic out-of-the-box website looks like, for example, how to ratchet it up so it does a lot of that selling for you. We've talked about the framework of how to prioritize what you're talking about. You can be showcasing really those core bits of magic for yourself across everything that you do. You should be doing that. I believe in show over tell. So if you are thinking about your content, ensuring that the majority of your content is spent in your top 1 and 2 bits of magic. And then the execution system, right? So generating content, utilizing AI that is always aligned with generating awareness, seeking conversion, or retaining your audience. And then I think the last slide, some next steps. Okay, so some things that you can do at home. Highly recommend, if you're not already utilizing AI, set up at least one tool. Maybe it's Claude, maybe it's Canva. Canva has a number of AI tools. For those of you who do use ChatGPT just integrated Adobe Express, which is a platform that's very similar to Canva. And so the way that it works is if you want to create a flyer, social media graphic, newsletter images, you can now, once you sort of connect the two platforms, type into ChatGPT what you want generated, right? So you can say, I'm looking for social media graphic for our spring break kids junior camp. Please show me 14 options, or not 14, that's way too many. Give me 2 options. Here's the text that I want incorporated. Here's the visual imagery that I want incorporated. It'll generate that for you, and then you can continue prompting it to make edits on your behalf. So you actually, if you don't feel comfortable or confident in a design software, you can literally now just narrate to AI what changes, what kind of visual you want to see, and then what changes you want to see to those visuals as well. I'll also mention, just in case it wasn't obvious, it was kind of hard to see, that all of these visuals were generated with AI. All of these photos are AI generated. Some of them are better than others. ChatGPT made that. There's tools like Midjourney, again for our marketers in the room, Midjourney and Nano Banana. If you take a photo of cheeseburger or hot dog or something at the turn, and you want to freshen it up, liven it up, make it look more expensive, those are tools that you can use to upload your images and put on basically really what's going to look like a photographer style imagery of that. So I want to make sure to share that too, because there's some low cost ways to make what you what you create feel like you spent a lot more money and hired somebody professionally to do it. Okay, I will pause there. I think that's everything. Let me share my contact information as well. My email is down below, Ashleigh, spelled the long way, at birdhausbrandstudio.com. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you would like to book a 30-minute brand clarity call, if there's something you're thinking about or the way that you want to strengthen what it is that you do on the ground at your course, would be happy to chat with you. Happy to offer that to the first maybe 10 facilities that book that. And then I also have a newsletter that I send out once a month. So that is filled with tips on how to strengthen your brand. A lot of the tips that I shared today in terms of utilizing AI will highlight and preview one of those as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have questions, if I can be helpful. Again, I want you all to be successful because I know how important and critical the work that you do is in growing the game. And if we can get those folks who are scrolling and looking for a place that feels like they belong to be you, then that is a win for me. So thank you. Thank you so much for having me. If there's any more questions, let me know.